Maybe you are not lazy. Maybe something inside you broke a long time ago. And now everyone calls it laziness because broken things are uncomfortable to look at. So they gave it a simple name, lazy. One word, and suddenly your whole life makes sense to them. You don't wake up, or you don't sleep at all. You start things and leave them unfinished. You make plans at night and kill them in the morning. You watch other people move forward, while your own body feels stuck. And every day ends the same way, with a quiet thought. I'll fix it tomorrow. But tomorrow comes, and nothing changes. So they call you lazy. But people love simple explanations for things they don't understand, because they don't feel what you feel. They don't feel the weight of waking up already tired. They don't feel the pressure that hits you before your feet touch the ground. They don't feel the noise inside your head, the list of everything you should be doing, everything you're not doing, everything you're already behind on. Before the day even begins, you're already overwhelmed. And when everything feels like too much, your system doesn't move, it shuts down. From the outside, it looks like laziness. From the inside, it feels like drowning in slow motion. That's the part nobody sees. Nobody sees how many times you try. Nobody sees the fight that happens before you even get out of bed. The negotiation. Just get up. Just start. Just do one thing. And somehow, even that feels impossible. Not because you don't care, because you care too much. Every task is not just a task. It's pressure. It's proof. Proof that you're getting your life together, or proof that you're failing again. So instead of starting, you freeze, and then the escape begins. You scroll. You distract yourself. You disappear for a while. Not because you want to waste time, but because you need relief. And for a moment, it works. Until it doesn't. Because time doesn't stop. The day keeps moving. And when it's over, the guilt shows up. Quiet, heavy, unavoidable. You did it again. And that's the difference nobody talks about. Lazy people don't usually hate themselves for resting. But you do. Because it doesn't feel like rest. It feels like paralysis. It feels like being trapped in a body that doesn't listen. It feels like standing at the edge of your own life, watching it happen without you. And the worst part is, you remember a version of yourself that wasn't like this. Maybe not perfect, but alive. You remember having energy. You remember having focus. You remember when things felt possible. And now everything feels harder. Not physically hard, soul hard. The kind of hard that makes simple things feel impossible. Still, people say the same things. Just be disciplined. Just start small. Just try harder. But wanting is not your problem. You do want it. You want the life. You want the discipline. You want the body, the money, the focus, the stability. You want to feel in control again. You want to respect yourself again. You want one clean day that doesn't collapse. You want to wake up and not feel behind. You want it so badly. It hurts. And that's exactly why every failure cuts so deep. Because this isn't about laziness. This is what happens when someone is carrying something invisible and calling it a character flaw. Maybe you're not lazy. Maybe your system learned survival instead of peace. Maybe effort doesn't feel safe to you anymore. Maybe somewhere in your past, trying led to pain, to failure, to embarrassment, to rejection, to pressure. So now every time you try again, your body remembers, not logically, but emotionally. And instead of moving forward, you freeze. Because your system isn't asking, can I do this? It's asking, is this safe? And if the answer feels like no, you stop. People think stopping means weakness. But it doesn't. It's protection. And that's what makes this so frustrating. Because on the outside, it looks like you don't care. But inside, you care so much, it's exhausting. You care so much that every small action carries weight. This task isn't just a task. It's proof you're not a failure. This workout isn't just a workout. It's proof you're not wasting your life. This message isn't just a message. It's proof you're not falling behind. And when everything becomes proof, everything becomes pressure. And pressure kills consistency. So the cycle repeats. You try, you freeze, you escape, you feel guilty. You promise to change. And then it happens.
And again. And again. Until something shifts inside you. Not suddenly. Quietly. You stop seeing yourself as someone struggling. And start seeing yourself as someone broken. Not something is wrong in my life. But something is wrong with me. That shift is dangerous. Because once you believe that, you stop looking for solutions. And start building evidence. Every failure confirms it. Every bad day confirms it. Every missed opportunity confirms it. Soon your whole life feels like proof that you are the problem. And that belief drains you. Not work. Not effort. Shame. Shame is what exhausts you. That's why you can do nothing all day. And still feel completely drained. Because you weren't doing nothing. You were fighting yourself. Fighting your thoughts. Fighting your guilt. Fighting your expectations. Fighting the fear that maybe this is who you are now. And that fight never turns off. And then there's comparison. The thing that makes everything worse. Because now, you don't just feel stuck. You see other people moving. Winning. Building. Improving. Every time you open your phone, someone is ahead of you. And you're not comparing reality to reality. You're comparing your internal struggle to someone else's highlight reel. And you lose every time. So you split into two people. The outside version. Functional enough. Normal enough. Alive enough. And the real version. The one that feels behind. The one that feels stuck. The one that wonders how life ended up like this. That split is exhausting. Because now you're not just living. You're hiding. And after a while, you start believing your own mask. You call it procrastination. You call it bad habits. You call it laziness. Because that sounds easier than the truth. The truth is heavier. The truth is, something in you got tired. Something in you got overwhelmed. Something in you stopped trusting that effort leads to something good. And that changes everything. Because now you're trying to build discipline. On top of damage. You're trying to force consistency. On top of exhaustion. You're trying to push forward. While something inside you is still stuck. And that's why it doesn't work. Not because you're lazy. Because you're overloaded. And overloaded systems don't perform. They survive. That's why waiting for motivation doesn't work. That's why new routines don't stick. That's why you keep restarting. Because you're trying to fix the surface, while the problem is underneath. And here's the hardest part to accept. If you live like this long enough, you stop trusting yourself. You stop believing your own promises. You stop believing your own plans. You stop believing change is even possible. And that's where it gets dangerous. Not dramatic. Just empty. Because once you stop trusting yourself, everything becomes harder. Even hope. But here's the truth most people miss. The fact that this hurts means something is still alive in you. Dead things don't care. Dead things don't feel regret. Dead things don't think about wasted time. The part of you that feels this is the part of you that still wants more? And that matters. Because it means you're not finished. You're just carrying something heavy. So no. You are not lazy. You are someone trying to function with something inside you that never healed. You are someone who kept going, even when it felt pointless. You are someone who is tired, but not done. And maybe the problem isn't that you need more discipline. Maybe the problem is that you've been treating a wound like it's a habit. And wounds don't respond to pressure. They respond to understanding. So maybe the first step isn't pushing harder. Maybe it's finally asking, what broke in me? Not to avoid responsibility, but to tell the truth. Because if you keep calling yourself lazy, you'll keep fighting the wrong problem. And fighting the wrong problem never leads to the right. So stop for a moment. Not to quit, but to see clearly. Something in you is tired. Something in you is overwhelmed. Something in you learned to survive instead of live. And that doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. And maybe that's where everything starts to change. Because this isn't laziness. This is damage. And damage can be repaired.